Hey everyone, MeltingMan234 here with a countdown list. Man, it's been years since I've done this stuff. After my previous countdowns failed miserably in the past, I've decided to do a proper countdown where I pull up subjects and explain why instead of just showing the stuff for no reason. So for this countdown, I'm gonna do the top 10 forgotten media episodes that I will never do because they aren't that forgotten and people still talk about them and all that jazz. Now, I've already stated that I will not do Invader Zim because everybody knows what that show is, and how I won't do any of the Sonic TV shows because of the same reason. So I'm going to talk about certain topics that I won't do that either a lot of people have asked me to do, or just to point out certain ones, because I tend to be a bit picky with choosing subjects for forgotten media. So, this is the top 10 forgotten media episodes that I will never do! Number 10. Anything the angry video game nerd has already done. Now, I'm still having an arguing with myself moment on this subject, and probably the reason why it's low on the list. I think the reason I won't do anything that the angry video game nerd has already done is mainly because he does a better job than I do. It's like why Doug Walker didn't review TMNT 3 because James already covered everything about the film and had nothing more to add to it. So if I had plans to do an episode on the Atari 5200 or the NES accessories and posted it on YouTube, chances are the nerd would do it much better and covered everything about it since I don't have any of the expensive cables or connectors or any of that kind of expensive stuff. I've also had those days of saying if I do something that the nerd has already done, then I might sound like the irate gamer or that other guy no one talks about anymore. There's only been one exception in which I did, which was the Dark Castle series, which was released after the nerd did his take on it. But if you've seen the differences, the nerd only covered the Genesis and CDI ports, while I covered the full history of the games and only talked about the Macintosh ports since they were first released for that system. I've had a lot of people requesting me to do the history of LJN, which the AVGN has already talked a lot about, and I might do that because it was more than just a video game company, even though I don't think companies and businesses are part of medias, but hey, I've got plans for a 50th episode which talks about a company that was shut down long ago. So yeah, not sure about this one. I will say there's a good chance I won't do the Virtual Boy at Forgotten Media, because the nerd has covered almost everything about it. So if you want the full history on the Virtual Boy, go watch the nerd's video on it, because there's really nothing more that I can add to it. Number 9. Conker's Bad Fur Day. I have no idea why people have requested me to do this. I mean, come on, everybody knows who Conker is, and especially Conker's Bad Fur Day. It's that game where you play as a drunken squirrel and you blow stuff up, finding a giant monster made out of poop, meeting a sunflower with giant boobs, etc., etc. I think the reason why people have asked me to do this might be because that the fact that Conker had other games besides that one that made him famous, like Conker Pocket Tales on the Game Boy Color and that canceled sequel, or maybe because of the fact that the company Rare is pretty much dead since they don't do anything anymore. So for Conker, I will only do his lesser-known games on Forgotten Media, since not many people have heard of Pocket Tales or any of the cancelled games. But I am not going to do Bad Fur Day or the remake on Forgotten Media, because the remake is just like the original, except for HD graphics and very stiff facial expressions. Number 8. Crash Bandicoot. Yeah, this one. When I did my cancelled Crash Games episode, I sarcastically said that I was gonna do the series in like 5 or 10 years, which obviously I won't do. And it's mainly because it's Crash Bandicoot. Everybody knows about him. I've talked to some people that still know about the series and remember the characters. I recently started playing the games again like old times and having fun with that. But yeah, Crash will probably never be forgotten because of all the people who still remember him and talk about him. And the games are just tacked into our minds full of memories. Especially when everybody wanted Crash Bandicoot to be in PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, which will never happen. People still talk about how they played the Crash games and how they got into the series along with all these different rumors of a new Crash game. Like, I've mainly heard constant rumors of Activision trying to make a new Crash game, which most of them were either proven to be false or cancelled. There was also talk about Crash and Skylanders games, because Activision owns both Crash and Spyro, so who knows. And then of course there was that mysterious Crash Bandicoot poster at Vicarious Visions, a company that worked on Crash Bandicoot games on the Game Boy Advance and also did Nitro Kart, but it was later to be revealed to be another cancelled Crash game. And then we had that, ooh, a new Crash Bandicoot game for the Wii U, PlayStation, and 360 that came from a website that doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, that was obviously a fake. So even though the series is dead, it will never be truly abandoned. The only time I'm gonna bring up Crash Bandicoot again on Forgotten Media will have to be if I decide to do the 2-volume manga series that was only released in Japan. And for the people who still want a new Crash game, I say be patient and wait for the Crystal's Wrath to be released. Number 7. Rayman. Just like with Crash Bandicoot, Rayman is another one of those video game characters that isn't that forgotten. I really don't have much to say about Rayman because the explanations I gave to Crash are practically the same reasons for Rayman. The only thing related to Rayman that I might do on Forgotten Media is the animated series, which was a very short-lived TV show. But other than that, you got Origins and Legends to thank for Rayman's return, and not letting all those Raven Rabbits hog all the glory. Well, of course, Microsoft forced Ubisoft to delay Legends to make it multi-console like the greedy bastards that they are, but even with that small setback, it's not gonna make Rayman forgotten. Number 6. The Dreamcast. Now, I've had a few people ask me to do the Dreamcast, but again, everybody knows what that thing is. It was like Sega's last console before they became a third-party company, and it was more powerful than the N64. We got Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, and so on and so on. I even got to play the Dreamcast for the first time when I went to my second anime convention a year ago and played a Japanese version of one of the Street Fighter games. Sega fans pretty much worship this console as the holy grail, just like how the classic Sonic fan brats worship the first Sonic game as God. It's like, "Oh, mighty Dreamcast, you are so powerful, you are the master, Umo Gwe Gwe Vai Ding Dao." But yeah, when you think of Sonic Adventure, you immediately think of the Dreamcast, unless you played the GameCube port or playing it on the virtual consoles. I think the one Sega system I'll probably do on Forgotten Media will have to be the Sega Saturn, since that was a lesser-known console, but other than that, the Dreamcast is just too recognizable to be forgotten, especially when you get to play as one of the Dreamcast accessories in Sega All-Stars Racing Transformed. Yeah, I didn't see that character coming.